Buenos dias. Today we're going to be talking about conjugating AR verbs, or cooking verbs as I call it in my Spanish 1 and 2 classes. So we're going to use the metaphor of cooking to talk about how we change verbs to make them more useful to us. So just as a reminder, verbs are action words, things that we do. If we're talking about cooking again, it could be I prepare ingredients, I then mix them, then I frost and decorate the cupcakes, and then my favorite, I get to eat the cupcakes. All of those verbs are action words, things that we do. Infinitives are what we have been working with for the past couple weeks on your yellow sheet of paper. They are verbs that end in AR, ER, and IR in Spanish, and all of them mean to do something. We've been working with AR verbs, to dance, to cook, to sing, to gossip, to hug. All of those verbs are to do something. Actions that end in AR that include to do something. In English, like I said, to cook, to prepare, and to buy. This is what's considered our batter when we're cooking. We can use our batter in different examples, like I do not want to cook. That to cook is an example of an infinitive verb being used in English, the words to cook. Nobody is actually cooking, it's just the words to cook. Or this example, I need to learn how to bake. To learn and to bake are other examples of how infinitives can be used in English. And lastly, another example is I have to clean all of the time. Just like we can use infinitives in English, we can use them in Spanish as well. Just like batter, however, it's better to cook the batter. We can use it, we can eat it, just like I showed you in those examples, but it's better to cook it or conjugate it, as we say grammatically. So in order to conjugate verbs or cook verbs, we need our pronouns or our pan. As we've reviewed before, we have yo and tú, and as you know, if we put cupcakes in different spots on these pans, we tend to get slightly different results. And that's what we're going to do today with conjugating. We're going to get verbs that look slightly different depending on where we put them in our pan. Again, this should be just review for us. We have all of our subject pronouns listed here. Remember that vosotros is just used in Spain, and I only show it to you just so that you're familiar. But again, we have yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, ellos, ellas, and ustedes. And depending on where we put our batter or our infinitive, we're going to get slightly different cupcakes. So if we take our most basic infinitive, we have to remember to break apart this word and know what each part means. So we have two parts for every infinitive. We have the first part, which is called the stem, and that's where the action is, the talking part. And then we have our ending AR, and that's where the to comes in, the infinitive. As always in Spanish, we have to remember that things are in different order. In English, we say to talk, or to cook, or to bake. But in Spanish, we have to rearrange it. It's talk to, but we know that it means to talk. This part means the talk. This part means the to. So if we no longer want to say to talk, maybe we want to say I talk, or my friends talk, or my mom talks, we need to take off the part that means to. And in Spanish, that's the AR. So we take that apart and we are left with, we are left with a blank cupcake. In order to finish our cupcake, we need to frost it. And our frosting is going to be las terminaciones, or our endings. So depending on where we put our cupcake, we have different frosting to go on top of it. We have for the yo part of the pan, o. For the to part of the pan, as. El en usted, a. Nosotros, amos. Again, vosotros, ais, but only in Spain. And ellos, ellas, ustedes, an. For those of you that were gone on Tuesday, make sure that these endings are written on your verb chart, and I do have extra sticky notes if you need them. Again, our endings are o, as, a, amos, and an. So those are our AR verb endings. Again, if we have the form yo, if that is our cupcake, then we need to match our frosting, which is going to be o. If tú is our cupcake, we need to match it and make sure that our frosting is as. If we have él, ella, or usted, our frosting is going to be a. If we have nosotros, our frosting is going to be amos. And finally, if we have ellos, ellas, or ustedes, our frosting is going to be an. Take a look at these verbs once again. This should be pretty basic. We always want to take off the AR ending and match with our correct ending or our frosting. We have yo necesito. Keep it in mind that as long as they're AR verbs and they are regular, these rules apply to all of them. So tú, we would take off the AR of llevar and add as. For él and buscar, obviously we're going to take off the AR and add a. Nosotros, we're going to take off the AR and add amos for trabajamos. And for mirar and ellas, it's going to be miran. So as you can see, this applies to all of the verbs that are listed on your yellow sheet of paper because all of those verbs are regular AR verbs. Now go ahead and try it on your own. These are some examples of subject pronouns. You should be able to take off your AR ending and match your frosting or your ending with whatever subject is listed here. I would recommend pausing this video and doing this on your own. And now I'm going to go over the answers. So again, I would pause, do this practice on your own, and come back and see the answers. So for mis amigos y yo, there we are talking about nosotros. So we need to take off our AR ending and change it to pagamos. La profesora, we are talking about a singular person, a woman in this case, so that's going to be ella. So we're going to change it to ayuda. Usted, or you formal, is in the same box as él or ella, so that's going to look similar. It's going to be cocina. Ustedes is on the plural side of the verb chart. It's with ellos and ellas, and so we are going to change it to arreglan. And finally, we have tú. We are going to change it to miras. Hopefully this video helped you understand how to conjugate verbs. Please let me know if you have any questions when you come back to class, and we can make sure to get you more practice if you need it. Adios!